Hello students, welcome back to Pathshala. Today we will going to discuss the respiration process. So the respiration is a biochemical process where the glucose or the organic compound breaks down and releases energy. So our today's topic is respiration in living organisms. Respiration occurs in all living organisms, like in plants, animals, and bacteria also. So, in respiration, what happens? Glucose or the organic compound breaks down to release energy. Okay? So, if we talk about the equation of respiration, it comes glucose stands for C6H12O6 and the respiration process needs 6 atoms of oxygen. So 6 O2, 6 molecules of oxygen, and by the help of the respiratory enzymes, the glucose and the oxygen by the help of respiratory enzyme turns into 6 CO2, means it releases CO2 plus 6 H2O plus energy. It releases energy in the form of ATP. And in case of normal respiration process in aerobic condition, means where the oxygen is present, in that condition, in this respiration process, 38 atoms of ATP produced, and this 38 ATP contains near about 2880 kilojoule of energy. So 1 gram mole of glucose releases 2880 kilojoule energy in aerobic condition. So this respiration process is the equation of respiration, and this respiration process occurs in all living organisms and particularly in mitochondria. That's why mitochondria is known as powerhouse of cell, because in mitochondria the ATP is formed. That is why the mitochondria is known as powerhouse of cell. This ATP, the full form of ATP is adenosine triphosphate. ATP means adenosine triphosphate, means it has 3 phosphate. Tri means 3, so it has 3 phosphate group in its chemical nature or its chemical composition. These 3 phosphate groups actually holds the energy, and this ATP is formed by ADP, adenosine diphosphate, plus when an inorganic phosphate group attached with ADP, the ATP compound is formed, and this process occurred in mitochondria. Next, we will discuss the process of respiration in living organism. So, if we talk about the process of respiration, then it includes four different processes of respiration. So, our next topic is processes of respiration. So the very first process of respiration is breathing. First one is breathing. Breathing means inhalation and exhalation of atmospheric air. In humans and other higher living organisms, we take oxygen from atmosphere and we exhale carbon dioxide from our body to atmosphere. In humans and other higher class of vertebrates have lungs for this particular breathing process. Lungs and other respiratory systems like nose, nostrils, and the trachea system. We will discuss that later classes. So, a full respiratory tract along with the lung, and in smaller organisms, oxygen gently diffuses to their cell so that it enters into the cell, and also the carbon dioxide diffuses out of from the cell. So the first process is breathing. It is actually a physical process. It is not a chemical process, it is actually a physical process, and breathing occurs by lungs in higher organisms or in human beings. Second process is gaseous transport to tissues. Second process is gaseous transport to tissues. So once the oxygen gets into the lungs, the oxygen when enters into the lungs, so lungs have smaller arteries or the blood vessels, the artery blood vessels in it. So the arteries present in lungs takes up this oxygen, and the oxygen combines with hemoglobin of blood and forms oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin, and this oxyhemoglobin transported to tissues. Next, when tissues or the cells releases carbon dioxide, the carbon dioxide comes back to the lungs. The carbon dioxide comes back to the lungs and via the veins. This process means the carbon dioxide exhalation occurs in two different steps. First one is the carbon dioxide forms bicarbonates. Bicarbonates which dissolves in plasma of blood and it is transported to lungs. Another way is carbon dioxide combines with part of hemoglobin and it forms carbaminohemoglobin, and this hemoglobin or the bicarbonates transported to the lungs and it diffuses in the unit of lung, that is alveoli, and via respiratory tract it outs in the atmosphere. So this is the second process, the gaseous transport of tissues. Next process or the third process is tissue respiration. So the third process is tissue respiration. Tissue respiration means when the artery transports the oxygen to the tissues, the arteries branches into capillaries, and these capillaries deliver oxygen to the tissues, and after the respiration process occurs or after the respiration process completed, the carbon dioxide produced in the respiration process or the end product, that is carbon dioxide, or the respiration process carbon dioxide is released. So the carbon dioxide, uh, the capillaries actually takes up the carbon dioxide that releases in respiration process or the end product of the respiration process. It takes up the carbon dioxide and the capillaries forms veins, and the vein delivers carbon dioxide to lungs. Fourth process is cellular respiration. When the oxygen gets transported to the tissues, the cells takes up the cells, tissue is the cluster of cells. So the cells takes up this oxygen molecule via the diffusion process by their cell membrane. So the cell membrane by the diffusion process takes up this oxygen molecule, and the oxidation of glucose occurs in the cells and the respiration process completed. So in cellular respiration, the breakdown of glucose is completed by the help of the oxygen molecule, and the carbon dioxide is also formed as a end product, and also the energy is released. So the respiration process occurs in 4 different steps. First one is breathing, that is a physical process. Then gaseous transport to tissues, tissue respiration, and cellular respiration.